Hi, welcome to the session on how to bust exam stress. My name is Sanchita Sharma. I'm the Health and Science Editor with the Hindustan Times. And welcome to our studio. With me is Dr. Sameer Parekh, who's the head of psychiatry at Fortis Hospitals. And his team also runs a website you also have an app, right?
So we have a
Yeah.
Facebook page, a helpline, a couple
For
of videos.
students,
Yeah.
where they have counselors answering questions, so you can call in anytime. We'll be posting the number. So anything you need, any counseling, any help, any advice you need related to exam stress. So Doc, I just wanted to ask you today, a lot of students have problems. A lot of them have trouble sleeping. A lot of them tell me they forget things. And you've just done a survey where you found that students really have a problem retaining a lot of stuff which they've studied before. So why does that happen?
So one, I think students need to understand that exams and anxiety is a normal aspect. It's good to be a bit anxious, because if you're anxious, that means you'll prepare better. If you'll prepare better, you'll perform better. Those who are absolutely not anxious, typically they'll not perform well at all. And those who are really very anxious also tend to perform poorly. So the idea is that how do you balance that? So that's one aspect. Second is, if students focus on a long-term preparation and don't think about, don't plan only for the last moment, last days, last minute.
Can't be done now. We're too close to the exams.
So right now, the best short-term suggestion would be sleep well, no undersleep, no late night study.
So when you say sleep well, how much sleep? Because
Not less.
Students say sometimes you sleep too much, sometimes you can't sleep at all.
So 6 to 9 hours. 6 to 9 hours. So as in 6 hours is for short sleepers, 9 hours is for long sleepers. You should know how much sleep you require, but not less than that.
So is it good to maybe get two sleep breaks during the day, or
No.
should you get a good night's
No, a good night's sleep is a must. See, what happens is, you take a good night's sleep, your brain kind of reactivates. A lot of times students make this mistake that, let's say you have an exam coming in a week's time, and you are almost awake through the night. So your mind is not accustomed to waking up for high performance in the mornings. So if you have an exam 9 to 12, then even at home, during your vacations, during your study leaves, you should be studying at that time, because then your mind is conditioned to be maximum active during that time.
So what you're saying is you should stick to an exam schedule. So if your paper begins at 9 in the morning,
Yes.
you should be at a desk studying at 9 in the morning, so that your brain is conditioned to work best during that time.
Yes.
Because again, a lot of students prefer to study through the night because they said there are less distractions.
No, that's not a good idea. And see, distraction is how you place your own self. I mean, you can decide to be distracted even at night if you keep a television screen on, a computer screen on, your phone's on. Then that's also a distraction.
So it's better if they have the TV on, if they're listening to music. Does it work?
It doesn't.
Not even to block out sounds?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so
You should,
stay quiet
yeah,
room.
absolutely. I mean, you can maybe
It's
use.
multitasking, isn't it? So you're checking your Facebook, you're checking your.
No, that's not multitasking. That's just being stupid, right? We need to appreciate this. Nobody can do two things at one time,
Okay.
right?
It's like driving
And driving and mobile. It's like texting on two mobile phones simultaneously while you're also answering somebody's call. It's not possible. What is multitasking is, do a task, finish it, go to the next task, which may be completely different than your first one, and that's quite fine.
We had a question from a student who said, is anxiety normal? And if it is, how do you know whether you're too anxious, or whether it's like your level of anxiety is what is expected?
So yes, anxiety is normal. So you break anxiety in two parts. Some amount of it is physiological, which means if you actually start feeling that you can't sleep, feel a lot of perspiration, palpitation, maybe feel a bit sick, a bit of physical pains, headaches, then the anxiety is crossing its limit. Similarly, psychologically, if the worry starts getting the better of you, shakes up your confidence, you're not feeling good about yourself, then again the anxiety is crossing.
Feel good about themselves before an exam.
Exam is the best time of your life. It's the time you enjoy the most. Parents will agree to whatever you will say during this time. They will not say no to anything. You should go out also. Enjoy this. Exams are the best playground that you can ever have.
Okay, so you need to study, but you can also have a good time.
Yes.
Does it actually help you work better?
Absolutely. If you are going to, so an outdoor activity, a recreational activity, something that makes you feel good, a bit of social engagement, and then going for an exam, the odds are you'll do better.
The social engagement, does it work if you go online and chat with your friends on Facebook, on social media? WhatsApp, or do you need to physically meet people? Also, please accept you don't have time to really step out to and
so
hang out with your friends.
there is no substitute to meeting. The next bet would be actually talking. If you can't do that and if you're using social media, so be it. But always remember, anything that you do with your eyes and hands, which is similar to what you do while you are studying, is fatiguing to the brain. It may give you recreational pleasures, but may not be the most effective relaxant for your brain.
So what would you recommend?
I'll recommend listening to music, highly effective. I'll recommend going out of the room where you are studying, which is extremely important. A few walks outside, that would be best. Talk to a family, watch a movie, yes, maybe. But talk to friends, talk to family. I also feel that students need to talk during examinations. A lot of times you get so bottled up because you are indoors, you keep on studying one subject after the other. It will help you if you actually go and talk to someone.
So those of you who've just joined us, Dr. Parekh here is telling us giving students tips on how to deal with examination stress and other related problems that students may be facing. We have a question. Please post your questions and I'm reading some out. We have a question from Ram Mehra who wants to know how to manage time for lowering stress, because most students can't really stick to schedules, right? And most of the time they are the ones who set these schedules for themselves, and that just kind of keeps adding to stress.
Yeah.
When you don't
So don't make schedules. What you do is, so flexible timetables work better than rigid timetables. So a flexible timetable would mean like that, let's say for the next 2 or 3 days I'd like to cover this, this and this, and then you keep on looking at the end of the day how well have you worked. If you feel you haven't, then add something tomorrow, but be willing to be flexible about your time. That will really make a difference. Also, spacing is important. So if you have to study, I'd say that you split your day in a couple of parts. Each part could be maybe 2 or 3 hours, where you study with breaks. So 40 minutes of study, 5 or 10 minutes of break, then 40 minutes studies. Between 2 long sessions, do something totally different. An outdoor activity, talking to a friend, listening to music, doing something like that. So what happens, your mind is constantly getting enough unwinding, enough rest, it's not fatigued, and your motivation is also maintained because every time you do something, you feel good about it.
Shyam Yadav says that can you really boost memory? Because, as it is you've crammed up so much, can yoga help maintain good health and physical and mental health?
So the yoga answer is easy. Yes, yoga helps. Lifestyle correction in any which way helps. Be it yoga, meditation, physical activity, good diet, socializing, adequate sleep, say no to substances, no caffeine, these things help.
So no caffeine again?
No caffeine.
You also mean like smoking and...
no, absolutely. No nicotine, no caffeine, no smoking in any which form,
so much coffee during the exams.
A bad idea.
Why is that?
Because caffeine is a panicogen, which basically means, and so is nicotine. So caffeine is a panicogen, which means if you are prone to anxiety, caffeine increases your anxiety. And if you are struggling with sleep because of anxiety, caffeine makes your sleep even worse. So it's a very bad idea, caffeine during exams.
Again, how can you best manage time for lowering stress?
So like I said, split your day in multiple parts. Have breaks in between those sessions and a different kind of a break between those 2 long sessions. That's the right way to go about it, and just don't undersleep.
We had a question from Harsh Sangvi who says that he's studying but he can't retain what he's reading. So he says it doesn't stay in my brain. What can he do to retain? So
typically, things which help you retain, doing basic concentration exercises, I'll tell you some. Studying in short spurts, mnemonics work, highlighting works.
You have to tell us, like
40 minutes maximum. 40 minutes to 45 minutes, not beyond 45 minutes.
So then take a 15-minute break.
5 to 10, maybe 15. What you do, mnemonics work, highlighting works, notes work. But what works best is self-tests and revision. So I'll tell you a rule that we tell students. So it's 1, 2, 7, 15, 30. This is not for this exam but for your life. So whatever you study on day 1, revise it on day 2, day 7, day 15, day 30. So what happens is that by the end of the year, you are revising things in such short duration that even on the last day you have ample time available to be relaxed. But if you don't study in this 1 to 7, 15, 30, how well you have studied on day 1, by day 30 you will retain less than 15-20% of it in any case.
That's very frightening. 15-20% is like a...
Not even that much, yes.
Yeah. So, but now students really don't have the time to go in for long-term planning.
So right now...
Is there any quick fix that they they can get to.
Focus on output also and not just input. So what I used to do during my examinations was also that some chapters I'll read, some chapters I'll try to write, maybe illustrations, maybe just the keywords, which was my way of revising, which means I'm focusing on some things which I know well. I'll do the output style of functioning, which is writing, and some places where I need to revise, I do input.
You're not
Yes.
writing enough because you're using laptops and smartphones.
So what happens is that because you read so much and don't prepare writing an examination, so while doing it you don't know how to do it even though it's somewhere in your head. So output is equally important.
So it helps you frame your thoughts
Yes.
when you're writing.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a question from Siddharth Pegu. You know how can you memorize easily? Do memory pills work?
No, they
Because
don't.
You have a lot of things available now where doctors sometimes even prescribe saying, "Ha, kha lo."
At your age, memory pills don't work. At our age, probably they'll start working very soon. But at your age, they will certainly not work. There are no memory pills which will get you more marks. The only way is revision, revision, and revision. And do not study till your brain is so fatigued that the last portions that you've studied, they didn't even have any retention happening.
So, is there any food or any exercise that you said you have some tips for concentration and how to improve?
So concentration, I'll tell you, a very easy one I'll tell you. So just before you start studying, pick up an English newspaper, right? Choose a paragraph and circle all the E's as fast as you can. So that's visual concentration. Once or twice a day, for 10 minutes, listen to an instrumental music where 2, 3, 4 instruments are playing and try to focus on the sound of only one instrument. So this helps building your concentration. And short spurts always.
Some funny students wants to know, Emma Smith, can I be on drugs? A lot of you, I'm sure, are tempted. But I think
Examination is a high in itself. You know, the joy that you will be tested and you'll beat the examiner is the high. Say no to drugs. It's not about exams. Say no to drugs always and irrespective. It's not a very intelligent thing to do.
What's a smart way to study? Chandan Kumar wants to know. Because he says, you also need marks. I mean, it's not just about getting information, you also need the result. So what's a smart way to study?
Smart way to study is looking at how to write an examination also. Most students who put a lot of effort in reading but don't plan effectively how to write. So one of the tips I tell students is, once or twice a week, take a computer printout of an examination for yourself, make your own questions, make your own paper, make an environment, mock exam by yourself. Wear the clothes that you would want to wear in the examination hall, tell everybody not to disturb you, and then with reading, give yourself marks. So by checking that also, that becomes another revision for you. Even checking your own answer is like a revision for you.
Right. For those of you who've just joined us, Dr. Sameer Parekh from Fortis is answering questions related to exams and exam stress. And we've gone through some of these things before. Do you want to do a quick recap on how to concentrate better?
Yeah.
How much to sleep? Because these are questions we are getting repeatedly. And how to boost your memory if you can.
Okay.
And how much should you study for? Do timetables work or not?
So split your day in 3 or 4 parts of 2 to 3 hours each. Each time study for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, take a short break. Again study 40-45 minutes, take a break. In those short breaks, come out of the room no matter what. And don't do computer, television, any form of texting, reading during that short break. Leave it for the longer break. Start with a concentration exercise. It could be something as simple as pick up Hindustan Times, choose a paragraph, all the E's in it, try to circle them, listen to an instrumental music, focus on one instrument and ignore the other instruments. Outdoor activity works, good diet, adequate sleep 6 to 9 hours, not studying through the night, maintaining your exam time and home preparation time should be matching. That's what will work. And also doing a lot of revisions, some of self-tests, talk to your friends, don't bottle it up and you'll be fine.
Bhavna Pratap Chauhan wants to know, how many hours should we study in one day? Is there an answer to that question?
There is no answer to that question. You can do it reverse. So which means take out hours of sleep, take out hours that you would need to do some physical activity.
About 6 to 8
6 to 9 hours, yes. Then take out your hours which are adequate for recreation. Take out a little bit time for socializing, little bit time for physical and outdoor activity, and all the other things that you need to do in your daily lifestyle. Now what is left, use it for examinations.
So that would be what, about 8 hours?
More than enough.
Okay. So even if you haven't done any studying so far, 8 hours you think is enough?
I wouldn't say that, but I'd rather hope that everybody here has studied the whole year.
And also what you're suggesting is you need that little break for your brain to really digest whatever you've been studying. So
See, the logic of that is that if you were to make a brain's graph of while you are reading, so the graph is something like a U, right? So the first one third and the last one third, while you are studying, your concentration and retention is very high. It's low in the middle one third. So if you end up having a very long session, that middle one third duration becomes very long, and fatigue results towards the last part, so it takes another dip. If you take multiple breaks, you have more first third sessions, and every time you start with a boost, and that's how you'll perform a lot better.
we had Rashmi asking she can't sleep. So is there any sleep hygiene tips that you have for?
Yeah, take a hot shower before bedtime, take a glass of milk, cut down on
I've seen
caffeine.
that in Hindi movies. Does it actually work?
Yes, it does.
Does it
Milk.
have to be warm milk? Or is
It doesn't matter. Milk has D-tryptophan in it, which is a natural sleep inducer. You can even have green tea, chamomile, jasmine tea. Go to the bed when you are feeling a bit tired. No television from the bed, no studies from the bed, no computer from the bed, no mobile phone on the bed. And listen to instrumental music or light music, which is not very upbeat, very fast, very loud. And then what you do is you start reading non-academic stuff, just so that your mind gets switched off. Do all of this together,
Basically,
it'll work
do
for
anything
you.
that's fun for you.
Yeah.
So it can be like you said, watching a movie, music, chatting with friends. I mean, make a phone call instead of texting.
Yes,
like what you're saying.
and just unwind. Basically, you're not able to sleep because your mind is not switching off. You find a way to switch it off, and a hot water shower actually helps.
And does talking to friends help to de-stress, or does it add to stress because you have your friends telling you, I've revised something 20 times, and you're like, oh my God, I still haven't. It used to happen to me all the time.
It depends on what you're talking to them.
So
If you are, don't talk about exams.
Okay.
Not that I expect you to talk about exams and studies in any case, but if you are doing that, then don't do that.
And in fact, we had a question, a very surprise question, one of the people who joined us, and he says, "Are you telling me that you should just chill and watch movies and have a good time and not study before?"
No, I'm also saying that I'm expecting that you would have studied for the entire year, and on the last day you just focus on a bit of revision. You don't bottle up, you don't try to overstudy so that you perform well. But no, the magic mantra is not that don't do anything and you'll perform well. You still have to struggle hard for life.
So, Suyash wants to know, does studying in the morning help you concentrate better? Are you more refreshed in the morning? What's a better time to study? Like morning, afternoon, evening, night, of course you wrote it down.
So there is nothing like that. Each person needs to decide on what works best for you. My strong recommendation is that the exam duration and your study time, that must match. Which means if your exam is in 9 to 12 in the morning, you should be studying at home 9 to 12. That's for sure.
Because there's some confusion. Suyesh wants to know again, why should we study for only 45 minutes in the morning? So it's not just 45 minutes, study for 45-50 minutes, take a break and then continue. So we're not saying just study for 45 minutes. But you need frequent short breaks.
Because your mind will not be able to continue working at high function for that long duration. Just not possible.
So Binoy Nair, in fact, that's the next question I also wanted to bring up, and he's mentioned it, that it's a lot of stress and hype, he says, but I think it's like a lot of stress comes from parents and schools and teachers. So do you have any tips for parents on, how they should behave, apart from like spoiling the kid, which is fine, I think.
So don't take holidays so that you can sit with your children while they are taking exams. Just don't do that. Just go to work. That's something very important. I think the most stress.
Never took time off for me.
Most-
so that was a good thing.
Most stressful thing for a child would be when the father or the mother comes and says, now it's your study time, exam time, I'm going to sit at home with you. So that's scary, so you just don't do that. Actually, what parents should be doing is see whether your child is taking adequate breaks, see if the child is too stressed, talk, help in relaxation.
And also don't keep going up to them and saying, don't stress, because when you
Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. You don't need to overdo anything.
Just have
I mean, in an 80-year minimum lifespan, you will have so many exams. There is no end to that. So even those of you who are taking your 12th boards, this is not the last exam, and sorry to break this news to you, but you will have an exam coming next year all over again. And it will go on. And if you are just completing your college, then well, you will have job interviews. If you got through a good job, then you will have an appraisal coming next year, and I've not come across too many people who enjoy their appraisals. And that's life. It'll keep on happening. So every examination is actually a skill building playground. You learn more, You learn so that the next time around you have more to apply to, and that's the only way to look at examinations.
It's learning, because we have exams all our life.
All our life.
You go for
This is an exam. I mean, I have been talking about studying exam skills now for the past 15 years, but I still have to make sense.
He wants to know, how do you overcome last minute anxiety? How do you control a panic attack? And you're just going for your exam and you suddenly start getting nervous, and so what do you do?
So one, don't study the last minute. I think most students who are prone to anxiety also end up studying at the last moment, wake up a bit earlier than the normal time, in half sleep trying to read, walking into the examination hall, outside trying to read, asking people. Don't ask anybody what they've thought, what they think is going to come, or whether they've studied the same thing or not. So one, don't do that. Relaxation exercises help. Deep breathing, relaxation, 5 or 10 minutes actually helps. And adequate sleep goes miles to ensure that your anxiety would be lesser the next day. Not taking caffeine. These are small errors which all of us end up making during examinations, and that makes it a lot worse. And if you still can't deal with it, talk to someone. I've strongly believed help seeking is a strength of an individual. So if you have a subject issue, talk to a teacher. Anything else, talk to a friend, relative, your family member, your parent. Can't deal with that, talk to an expert, talk to your school counselor, pick up the phone, talk on a helpline, but talk to someone. Just don't bottle it up.
In fact, guys, we're running the number of the Fortis helpline, which is you can get free counseling. You'll have trained counselors answering your questions. So if you're like super stressed, or if you just need advice, just give it a call. We've been running the number of the helpline. It's right there, so just make a call. Okay, another question we had from a student was, how do you keep your motivation up? And especially once the exam starts and you come back home thinking you haven't done the test didn't go very well, and it's kind of depressing and it gets you down. So it's okay to it's easy to keep motivation high for a couple of weeks, but exams here go on for a month or so. Stay motivated.
This is your life, right? You do not need anybody else to tell you why you should be motivated. You have your goals. You have to achieve your goals. Each examination, each thing you do is a step towards that goal. There is no other way to look at it. Whether the exam is for a week or a month, the fact is you are appearing in these exams because you want to go to the next stage of your life. You want to take an A, B or C as your post-graduation. Then graduation is important for its reason, because otherwise they won't let you appear in post-grad. And to get into this grad, you need to do well in grade 12. If you need to do well in grade 12, you need to do well in grade 10, so on and so forth. This is life. And you have to constantly realize that these are steps. There is no other way to be motivated except realizing that what's important for you, what's good for you.
We have another question from Bujwala. She wants to know, how long should the breaks be? Do you also need a long break, or are breaks just 10 to 15 minutes?
No, so like I said, you split your day in 2 or 3 hour sessions. Between those sessions, you can take a longer break. And during...
And you need longer breaks for your food and your
which is fine. I mean, and there should be at least one decent long break, not less than an hour, where you are able to do some outdoor activity. That's very, very important.
Because it's also your brain. It's the oxygen, right? So it's not just...
And various kinds of stimulations to feel that it's life, not just one bottled up exam.
So now to quickly wrap up, what would your 3 topmost tips to students be to lower stress and just to improve concentration and memory? Because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of students feel they've studied but they don't retain what they've studied.
So I think one would be lifestyle. And lifestyle would be adequate sleep, good diet, a bit of relaxation, outdoor activity, social engagement, studying in breaks. So that's your lifestyle. Second would be realizing your strengths and weaknesses and handling them effectively. So strengths would be that if you know something well, maybe write a bit more, finish it off so that you are simultaneously focusing on output as well as input. Those places where you need to read a lot more, give yourself time for that. Self-tests help. Concentration exercises, like I had mentioned, the E exercise, where you pick up a newspaper, a paragraph, color all the E's. Instrumental music exercise, 10 minutes of an instrumental music, focus on the sound of only one instrument. Some of these things help. Revise, take self-tests. And the third most important thing is seek help when you need help. Please do not bottle up. This is just an examination.
Can just be your friends and talking.
Absolutely. Talking to a friend is also taking help. Accepting that I am feeling stressed is also taking help. Just don't let the examination feel like a monster that's going to eat you up. It's not the case. You will fight this one and you'll have the next examination waiting around the corner.
You know, I was saying we're wrapping up and I've suddenly got lots of questions, so we'll just take 2 or 3 more questions and then we'll wrap up. Rakhi Garg wants to know, how can you not get distracted while studying? Because that's a big problem. These days people use laptops to study, so you suddenly have a Facebook notification. I hope we're not taking you guys away from studying now.
See, it's like this. Right now, I am sitting with you, answering your questions. My mobile is off. Everything else is off. I'm not available to do anything else. Why? Because I do realize that here, if I have to do this and I have to answer your questions, talk to Sanjita, I need to have focus only here. That's what applies to all of you. It's like if you have a maths exam, while you are taking an exam, how many of you would actually want music being playing? While you are taking an exam, would you actually want to talk to somebody simultaneously? You wouldn't, because you want your absolute focus while you take that exam for those 3 hours. The same applies while you are studying.
Vimal Goyal wants to know, does smoking help to control stress?
Smoking is harmful anyway, every way, forever.
No, but apart from the harmful, does it lower stress?
No, it does not. It does not lower stress. It's a panicogen. It increases anxiety, negatively impairs your concentration and performance.
We have a question by this Shreya, I think, says that she feels sleepy while studying, kind of gets up suddenly with a book, you know. So why does that happen? She's not getting enough sleep, or is it just boredom?
So one, it could be with not taking adequate sleep. Second would also be, I hope you're not studying on the bed, because that's a very bad idea. Should be studying on a table and chair.
Yeah.
Table and chair.
Yeah.
Table and chairs are made for that.
No, but is it just because it's good for the posture, or does it also help in learning?
Because it's conditioned. Bed is conditioned for sleeping and relaxation. If you try to do a high functioning activity in the place where you do the lowest functioning activity, your brain gets confused whether I sleep off or whether I keep awake.
So you learn better if you're sitting at a desk.
Yes.
And also you're giving an exam at a desk, so again the conditioning,
Yes.
so you recall.
Yes.
So guys, that's important, because all of us have spent a lot of time studying in bed. So right, so thank you so much. If you have any more questions, please post them and we'll be happy to answer them for you. And thank you again for joining us and coming here all the way to answer questions. Pleasure again.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.